Hey everyone, Alex and Dan here. We're here for our weekly recap. If you don't know Dan, he's one of the partners in the gym, my good friend, and one of the guys that fought MMA from the club. So tonight, we're going to take a little bit of a different look at our movement of the week. We spent all week doing mount escapes, one of the foundational elements in Jiu-Jitsu, being able to get out from underneath a mount. And you've heard me talk about that triangle before, where we have the fundamentals on one point of the triangle, and then we have the sport and the art on two separate points of the triangle. Really important concept. And we can't forget any one of these. People can go into any one of these areas and specialize in them, and that's great. It's all good Jiu-Jitsu. But we can't forget at the end of the day, we come back to this as a martial art, and we can't lose that. And we have to train and understand that, and understand which movements go where. So before we break into our techniques, let's take a look at some of the drills that we did earlier tonight. Start so you can build some sensitivity. Just go ahead and press you down, and we're here. And you can start working while you're here. If he starts here, is there a reason I shouldn't try to crack his arm? Right? A little escape and get some distance, right? In this thing before it starts, right? So pretty easy. Then your partner's going to make it a little bit harder for you. Go. Right? And each iteration is going to get a little bit harder, a little bit harder to escape, with a little bit more velocity coming down. You will be amazed if you haven't done this before, the tiny bit of stress inoculation this will do.
Don't let him get disabled. There you go, block that foot.
Stuff happened. All right, fun stuff. Not your traditional Jiu-Jitsu class, but a very important aspect. So now, looking at the fundamental idea of escaping the mount, and we look at those fundamentals that run all the way through our warm-ups into our technique, proper hip bump, proper body alignment, proper hip movement. Let's look at two different ways we can go from those fundamentals, and we'll look at two different techniques that we work this week. I'll start off, and we'll look at kind of a sportive aspect that we can go to from a mount escape. So, Dan's going to take mount. I'm going to start with my fundamental knee elbow escape. All of my fundamentals are the same. All the basic art of Jiu-Jitsu is the same here, right? I drive my hips. I turn, right? And he does what he needs to do, which is move to a modified mount. From here, you guys have seen me do this week before. I'm going to get the pant at the knee and the ankle, and I'm going to lock my arms. I don't want to push with my arms, which are weak. I want to work off my core. So from here, I'm going to use my foot to make good connection with the mat. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Connection's not just me to my partner, connection's also me to the mat. I'll build this connection, and I'm going to use my legs to drive my hip into his support leg so that I make this space. And now you can see this big triangle that's formed here. My top leg is going to slide in, and dig my hips back underneath it. And initially, I'm going to look to sweep here. The thing is, people that understand this who play Jiu-Jitsu are going to do exactly what Dan's doing. They're going to push this in, and they're going to make this sweep more difficult. So now we're going to transition into a little bit of an open guard. We're going to work through our X guard and what we would probably consider a more sportive aspect of the art. So from here, I'm taking my hips, again, building connection with my foot, and I'm going to think about scooping my hips out from underneath so I can build the proper platform to start working my X guard. I'm going to catch the shin here, and I'm going to use my shin here in his knee to elevate. See how I elevate the leg? It's not as core. This leg is much lighter, and I can use my quadricep to move that up. my bottom leg comes in and I go 2-on-1. Now I'm shin to shin and I have counter pressure with my arm. This is the initial start of my control. I can brace, I can underhook, I can go to the gi material, but I'm building this framework inside so he can't wreck what I've started to do. I extend my leg and I thread my foot underneath. And now I've built my X guard. Once I'm here, I bring my hips down to the ground. I'm going to come underneath with this arm, underhook his leg, and I'm actually going to move until I've worked my shoulder underneath his quad. Now I'm in a good classic X guard position. If Dan is leaning back this way, I'll extend my limbs and take him this way for the sweep. If Dan's driving up over me, I'll extend the leg and sweep forward while controlled. So, great sweep, perfectly valid extension of jiu-jitsu, and a perfectly good outlet for the fundamentals. Now, Dan, how many fights you have, Dan? 3. 3 fights? And a brand spanking new gi, which we're going to get a little bit dirty now. Dan's going to look at a more self-defense oriented aspect, a more fight oriented aspect for a mount escape.
So Alex is mounted on me, we're in a real fight, he's throwing strikes. My number one concern is to not get punched in the face. As soon as Alex goes back for a strike, I'm going to try to get him down. I'm going to scoop one arm in, I'm going to try to control the other one by the bicep. Try to punch me. I want to keep him right here. I'm going to take over my shoulder, looking over my left eye, head mounted. I'm going to bridge up and keep going. Without his arm support, he cannot block me. Come back. Even with his arm out, if he was able to block it, if I keep driving it, it's going to take him over. So one more time, we're here, Alex is striking. Come in, and then right away, over my shoulder, we're here. Hold on to that bicep so we still can't hit you. Stay here, stay defended, and begin your pass.
Awesome. So that's this week. It's one of those things that people look at when they're white belts and blue belts and like, hey, I can get out of the mount. And then we forget about it as we get more advanced. But guys, I'm telling you, everything in jiu-jitsu has to start with getting out of these bad positions. The mount is one of the worst, and we need to spend more time focusing on it. And we need to remember all of these outlets for jiu-jitsu. The fundamental art portion that you're going to be doing until you're 90. The sport that can be so much fun and artistic, and you can do neat things with your body manipulation. And we can never forget that other corner of the triangle, self-defense, and we need to go back and drill that as well and make sure that we keep that in the art as long as the art's going. So,
That's it.
That's our week. Guys, come back next week and we'll have more material for you. Check out the rest of our channel. Like and subscribe, share us around, and we'll see you next week.